Down Barrier with me in studio. Apropos that Yazidi community, where are they then in Iraq?
Well, they're pretty much in the same place where they were 2 years ago. They're not massacred anymore.
Where they were, where the massacre in the Yemen it happened, basically, right?
In Snjar. They're not in Snjar anymore. I mean,
exactly.
there's only a small minority of Yazidis, around 10,000 people in Snjar, on the mountain. Most of them, as Owen just said, are in refugee camps in the KRG, the Kurdistan Regional Government territories in northern Iraq. Many of them are trying to flee Iraq, going to Germany, going to Europe, European countries. But they're struggling with this giant wave of immigrants and refugees going to Europe.
Yeah.
So they're not alone in this. So many of them are stuck in refugee camps also in Europe, in Greece, in Germany, in other places, trying to find their way to a safe haven. Many of them, those left in Iraq, face harsh conditions in the refugee camps, and they face a political repression from the Kurdish government,
right,
oftentimes. So that makes the situation even more complicated. They're in this strange situation. 2 years they've been struggling, 2 years in these refugee camps, but getting no help, no aid whatsoever. Not from the Kurdish autonomous region government, not from any other party in the world.
Who, if anybody at all, is stating the case for this community that came into public knowledge only 2 years ago? I mean, let's face it, 2 years ago, nobody in the world knew who the Yazidi population was.
That's true.
In many ways. And, you know, the only thing that came about is that they were the first, I think, you know, the first victims, or some of the first victims when it comes to the ISIS attacks that the world's experienced. Who's stating their case?
Well, that's another complicated issue. Well, the KRG government, do advocate for the Yazidis, but they do it for their interests, for their purposes.
Political capital.
Political capital, of course, getting closer to the West, getting aid for Yazidis, or at least supposedly for the Yazidis, but then nothing gets to the Yazidis in the end of the day. There are some random initiatives around the world for aiding Yazidis. We just heard a few months ago about Amal Clooney advocating for them. She's a world-renowned
world barrister,
human rights activist, and she helps them a lot. There are some random initiatives, but there's nothing coordinated.
Do we have any idea, in quantifying in numbers, how many more Yazidi women are still being held by ISIS, by the group, by the Islamic State?
We don't have official numbers,
do we know,
but we do know, according to some countings made among Yazidis,
right,
by some Yazidi organization, we're talking about something roughly around 3,500 women and an additional 1,000 children.
Yeah, 3,500, and
camps.
As we said, and as we heard from Owen Holdaway, and as you mentioned, these are women that are women who are being held mostly as sexual slaves,
sexual or domestic slaves. It's been 2 years now.
It's been 2 years. Horrifying, and the world is not allowed to forget. I'm very glad that you joined us this morning, Ceydan. And as we said, 2 years to that awful massacre of a community that the world sadly is not talking about enough.